So I wanted to make a video about all of the Snake Eyes FTKs because this is the deck that I am going to be playing this season. I will have videos of me grinding to Master 5 and Master 1 with it. I'm not gonna really give the whole life story behind this deck, but I'm just gonna explain the basics here just so people have a frame of reference of what's going on. For this FTK, your main deck can be whatever Snake Eyes main deck you would play normally, right? There is no opportunity cost to the main deck whatsoever. However, there is an opportunity cost to the extra deck. The main thing being that, hey, this is our win condition and we need a bunch of ways to actually bring this guy out. So the main one being Proxy F Magician. Now, as far as why you should play this, there's a couple of reasons. One, people do play board breakers, right? If you go into your standard, oh, I set up a bunch of negates and make an Appaloosa, that's going to be good enough to win you the game 80% of the time. But what's better than winning the game 80% of the time? Well, probably winning the game 100% of the time. That is the main selling point for this deck. We actually get to kill our opponent on turn 1. The win condition, again, it is Fiendsmith Lacrima to burn for 1200, and then we're going to use Blaze Phoenix 3 times to burn our opponent for another, 7,000 or so. And this deck has several one-card FTKs, and now we are going to go over all of them. So first, I'm going to show you the standard Snake Eyes line because that's kind of what all of the other FTKs are built on top of, right? So once you understand how to FTK off of just having an Ash, you pretty much know how to FTK off anything else. So I tell you, if we were going first, this would be an amazing opening hand because we have so many starters, but we're just going to pretend that all we have is the Ash. We're going to pretend we don't have these Sinful Spoils or Witches. So for the first few plays here, it's just going to look like a standard Snake Eyes deck, right? We're doing Ash to search Poplar. We are going to special Poplar and search our field spell. Then it's you can activate your field spell right now if you want to, or you can hang on to it for a bit. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hang on to it in this case. Against a real opponent, maybe we don't want to commit all of our cards so soon. But we're going to go Poplar into Link Karibo, use Poplar's ability, put it in the Spell or Chop Zone. That gives us fodder to activate Ash. And we are going to grab Oak. Oak is going to bring back any Snake Eyes monster, it doesn't matter which one. And we're going to leave Oak in play because we haven't used its ability yet, but we're going to use the other 2 monsters to go into our Fiendsmith engine. And we're going to go into Requiem and use Requiem to search Fiendsmith Engraver as you always do. And we're going to equip our Engraver with the Requiem from the Grave. Why are we doing that? Well, because that is free fuel for our Oak. So let's just go ahead and use our Oak now. And boom, there's a Flamberg. Now, this is going to seem a bit unintuitive to people who play the normal build of this deck, but we are going to use this effect now. Why are we going to use this effect now? And why are we targeting Link Karibo of all things? Well, we want this in our Spell or Trap Zone because the more cards we have in play, the more we'll be able to burn our opponent for. We are not going to bring this back with the Promethean Princess, so that means that we want to use it now before it dies, and we don't want to bring back our Fiendsmith cards or our Snake Eyes cards because we are going to need them in the grave for other things later. So that is why we are doing this. That being said, we can now go into sequence. And we're going to trigger this, get back 2 monsters. It doesn't really matter which ones you choose, so let's just go ahead and pick these 2. In this build, we only have 1 Fiendsmith Fusion, so let's go ahead and summon it and leave our Engraver in the grave. Because we need to bring it back with Lacrima. So boom, Engraver comes back into play. Keep in mind, we have not used Engraver's other effect yet. But here, normally you might think, oh, maybe we're going to go into Beatrice. No, we are actually not going to go into Beatrice. We are going to go into Constellar Ptolemy M7. So let's go ahead and summon this little buddy. And now we are going to activate this and detach Engraver. And we are just going to add a small dude from our grave, because we are going to be able to special summon this from our hands at a later time. So that is why we're doing that. The main reason, though, that we are playing this is because it is a machine. Now, what we are going to need is Proxy F Magician. So let's go ahead and use 2 monsters. We want to leave the Ptolemy in play. And then we are going to go ahead and activate this guy's effect to summon our Phoenix. We've got a Pyro and we've got a Machine, which is what we need. We're going to put this in a zone that Proxy Magician points to. Why are we doing that? To trigger Proxy's other effect and summon the Oak that we just added to our hand. Lacrima is triggering, and we are going to shuffle back the sequence to deal our opponent 1200. Dealing 1200 is kind of important. So let's just go ahead and summon this guy. Now, we want to put as many cards into play as possible so that our Phoenix burns for the maximum amount. So we are going to put this Diabellstar in play. That is important. And we're going to go ahead and activate Diabellstar. Bring back, I don't know, we can bring back Flamberg. Why not? Doesn't really matter. Stick this in play, and then we're also going to activate Engraver. Why? Because, well, we want more cards in play. Burn our opponent for more damage. Boom, there's Engraver. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards in play, which is enough. Now, in real life, it's like, hey, if you have a random spell or trap in your hand that you could set, like an Imperial Impermanence, yeah, set that, deal your opponent 300 more. But I'm just going to show you that we don't need to, actually. We don't need to set more stuff from our hand. Now what we do is we Link Summon Prometheus. And we are going to use Prometheus to bring back our Phoenix. Phoenix is not a hard once per turn, guys. That's why this FTK works. Deal the same amount of damage again, because we have the same number of cards in play. And now we're going to go into this Swarm Ship. We're going to link our Prometheus away. And any other random monster is fine. We do want to leave our Phoenix in play, though. We're not sending it to the grave this time. And then now we go into Swarm Ship. Then we use our Swarm Ship to go into Zealantis. We just go Link 4 into Link 4. And then we activate this guy's effect. Bring back all our stuff, which then resets the Phoenix, allowing us to use it again. And that's game. It doesn't really matter, how we summon these guys, as long as we still have our Phoenix face up. So, boom. That's another 21. And our opponent is dead. That is the basic Snake Eyes FTK. Now, anyone who's played the Azamina engine knows that, well, it's basically broken. So what we're going to do now is, now that you know the basic FTK, I'm going to show you how we can use the Azamina engine to search out our Snake Eyes engine and FTK our opponent as we would. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do this. Search Hollowed Azamina. And then, standard stuff here. Gonna go into Murcielago. And, in this case, we did open our Seeker of the Sinful Spoils here. So we could do this in a bit of a different order here. But, yeah, we'll just, I don't know. We'll just do it this way. Just to show you that, this would still work. Even if we hadn't opened the Wanted, right? We would have searched it off the Murcielago. So return this to our hand. Add this back. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and chain this. go ahead and get Witch. And yeah, we'll go ahead and put Sylvia in play. And now it's like the nice thing about this FTK line is like we get to go for an FTK while having a monster in play that stops our opponent from playing some sort of hand trap, right? That might stop our FTK. So that is pretty nice. So yeah, we'll go ahead and summon Witch and use Witch to grab original Sinful Spoils, Snake Eye. And now it's like, okay, we just activate this, go into our Snake Eye engine, and well, you know, we knew that Justin Ash was enough to FTK here. So now it's just the same line, except we have like a Sylvia in play. So we have slightly less board space, but that's not going to be an issue. And, you know, we opened the field spell, but if we didn't open it, the Poplar would be searching it here. I'll just go ahead and stick this into play now. And yeah, same combos as before, basically. We're gonna go Ash into Oak. Oak's gonna bring a dude back. And now we go into our Fiendsmith engine just as we did before. And attach the Requiem, send it away, finish out our Snake Eye engine. And again, you know, don't forget, use this guy's effect. It's always easy to forget to do that because it feels so unintuitive. We can get back whatever we want, right? We can get back Witch here, right? And now we go into sequence. Yes, we would like to use this. Pick 2 people to summon. And again, we got to make sure to leave the Engraver in our grave. Activate this. Special summon this guy. Go into Ptolemy. Use the effect as we did before, detaching Engraver and putting whoever, putting one of these guys in our hand. Now we are going to link into Proxy F Magician. Going to activate the ability, summoning our Phoenix. Boom, stick this guy into play. Use Proxy Magician's effect, special summon the card that we just added to our hand. Have Lacrima, burn for 1200, leaving the Engraver in our grave. And yeah, we could pick either of these guys to special summon. It wouldn't matter in this case. And then yeah, and then now we just need to fill up our board. Summon this guy. Activate Engraver. If we want, we could even use the engrave effect of our, our Seeker of Spoils, but it's not necessary to FTK in this case. So let's burn. And then let's go into Promethean Princess. Res our Phoenix and burn again. And then what we want to do is go into our Link 4 engine, treat this as 3, and it doesn't really matter which which card we use here. And then, yeah, we use Zealantis, we reset our Phoenix, use Phoenix again, and we burn our opponent for lethal. You guys probably don't need to see this again, but I will go ahead and play it out. And yeah, this entire time we did have an Omni Negate in play. So yeah, an FTK with an Omni Negate, pretty good as it turns out. All right, boom, headshot. Next, what I'm going to show you real quick is that Diabellstar Black Witch is still an FTK even if you don't play the Azamina engine. So in this case, you'll see I am playing the Azamina engine, but we're gonna pretend like we're not. So what you do is that you summon Black Witch, and rather than searching your Azamina engine, you can get original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, activate it, send this to the grave, and then grab Ash. And then this is the same exact FTK, basically, that we did the other two games. The difference is that, unlike the last run that we did, we don't have an Omni Negate in play, right? So that's kind of the con of not playing the Azamina engine, is that you can't FTK with an Omni Negate in play. But I don't think that is like a big deal. But this is kind of foreshadowing here for what I'm going to show you next, because you might be thinking, why on earth would you play this deck without the Azamina engine, right? I mean, Deception of the Sinful Spoils, right? That's a 1-card FTK. So wouldn't you want to play that? Well, there is another option. Now, if you've been keeping up with the meta, you are probably aware that some Snake Eyes players have decided to play the Millennium engine instead of the Azamina engine. And there are certain pros and cons associated with doing that. But clearly, I mean, Sengajin, I mean, that's not a 1-card FTK, is it, right? I mean, that would be absurd. Well, it turns out that it is. It's a little more complicated, and I labbed this out myself. The other FTKs I didn't come up with. But I actually figured out that, yeah, just with this, we can just do a 1-card FTK here. So, again, if you're familiar with, like, the Snake Eyes Millennium deck, this is all going to look pretty standard until it isn't. So we're doing Sengajin to search the other one, Golem. You can do it the other way around, right? Like, you can do Golem to search Temple to search Sengajin. It's all the same thing here. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to use our Temple and put, I don't know, any random monster into play. Put this into play. And why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this because we want to summon Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. And we are not going to activate the effect. And now what we are going to do is we are going to go into our Fiendsmith engine, leaving our level 6 monster in play, right? That is going to be very important. So now we're just doing standard Fiendsmith things. Going to activate Requiem and search Engraver, and now we have 2 level 6 monsters in play. That is going to be fairly important. And in this case, we actually are going to summon Beatrice. And we're going to use Beatrice and detach, it doesn't really matter. We're going to detach Engraver. And what we're going to do, we are not going to put our Ash in our grave, right? This is not sort of the standard Snake Eye thing where we go, oh, Beatrice put Ash in our grave and then use Prometheus, bring back Ash. No, instead, we're going to put original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye in our grave. And then we're going to activate it. Why can we activate it? Well, because we have a Snake Eyes monster in our grave, the one that we just put there. And then now we are going to use this. We are going to find our Ash. And it shouldn't surprise anyone that this is an FTK. It gets a little weird, though, and I'll show you why. So we are going to activate Popular, of course, add this field spell to our grave. Before we play this field spell, though, well, we want to tribute off this other one, because that's just free. Then we put this guy into play. And then what we are going to do is we are going to summon Engraver. We are going to return Moon of the Closed Heavens to our extra deck. This is actually important. Boom, we're going to summon this guy. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing that we always do. We're going to equip this. Activate our Oak. Get rid of the free equip card. And then we are going to summon our Flamberg. And then we're just going to use Flamberg, bring back a random monster from our grave. One of the Millenniums is fine. You know, hey, if for some reason we don't FTK because our opponent stopped us, well, then we can summon this guy next turn. Then what we want to do is we actually want to go into Moon of the Closed Heaven again, which is going to seem a bit strange. But we are going to need this Moon of the Closed Heaven in our graveyard. That is going to become fairly important. And yeah, we'll go ahead and trigger Popular here, put it in our Speller Trap. So we really don't even need to do this. But now what we are going to do is we are going to summon Sequence. We'll just use these. And then we're going to activate Sequence. And we're going to summon Lacrima. And you'll notice here we needed this Moon of the Closed Heaven in our graveyard. Because if we didn't have this, we would have to shuffle back our Engraver and then our combo would end. So that's why you actually have to summon Moon of the Closed Heaven twice. Which, you know, I know is going to feel very unintuitive, but that's what we're doing. And then now we have 2 level 6s in play. So we can go into Ptolemy. And we'll just go ahead and activate this, detach the Engraver, and add we can even just add the Engraver back to our hand if we want. Right, we'll add the Engraver, we'll discard it, search Fiendsmith Tract. We want 2 things to bring back with our Flamberg Dragon. So why don't we just do this, actually? Why don't we just summon Doom Dragon. I will not activate the effect. And now let's go Proxy Magician. And we'll go ahead and activate this. You could sequence all of this stuff like a little bit differently if you wanted to. And in this case, you know, we didn't have to use the Proxy Magician's effect. I mean, we can. We'll go ahead and special summon the Maxi, but we don't have to do this. And here we're going to return our sequence, burn our opponent. And yeah, now we just try to fill up our board, right? And we'll go ahead and use track just to put another guy in play. And then boom, we're gonna burn our opponent. And we're gonna go ahead and res our guy and burn our opponent again. It's the exact same thing we've always been doing. We're going to go into the Link 4 engine. Bring them all back. So that's how it works, guys. Anything that searches Snake Eyes Ash is an FTK. Diabellstar is an FTK. Deception of the Sinful Spoils is an FTK. And either of those two Millennium cards, also an FTK. And then I will show you the Snake Eyes Millennium list as well. Main deck, it's basically just we cut the Azamina engine for the Millennium engine. Nothing to really talk about there. And then we get a little bit of more extra deck space. In particular, being able to play Snake Eyes Doom Dragon is really nice. As far as like which version of this deck you go with, yes, it's not really intended to be like a, hey, play this, not that kind of video. But the pros and cons of going Millennium versus Azamina, they're the same as with normal Snake Eyes, which are, generally speaking, Millennium plays around Retaliating Sea better, but then the Azamina build plays around Nibiru better. So it just kind of depends on what the expected meta is and what cards you want to play around. So I hope this video helped out a lot of people. And guys, if you want to see me actually play this deck, if you want to see the deck in action, then subscribe, because there are going to be some more videos coming of this deck in action.